Hey there, in this video what we're going to do is learn how to use the Add a Product feature in Seller Central to add variation to an already existing shoe. And so I'm going to take a shoe that I have a UPC for that shoe, and all of this is just as an example. We have the UPC of the shoe, and we are going to look both on the product page and then also within Seller Central using the UPC to verify that the particular color and size that we're wanting to list aren't already in the Amazon catalog. So what we've got is the UPC for this ankle boot, and we're going to look at charcoal, and we're going to look at size 9.5 to see what the ASIN is for this shoe that we could enter in, and this is grayed out, so it's not available in this color and size. So even though it's grayed out and not available, we're not sure at this point if it's just out of stock or if this variation has never been created. So the next step that we want to make sure and do is go to Seller Central and verify that the UPC and the child variation that we're trying to list or needing to create is actually not already in the catalog, and that way we know for sure that we're doing the right thing to go ahead and create the variation. So the next thing that we're going to want to do to verify that the shoe isn't actually listed on another product page, because sometimes what will happen is somebody will create a variation, or they'll try to create a variation, or they won't know exactly how to create a variation. I'm not sure exactly what happens, but they'll use the UPC for this size and color variation, and instead of creating a new variation under this parent ASIN, it will end up that somebody will create an individual product page that's not associated with the parent ASIN. It's not a child variation, it's just an individual product page, and somewhere in the title of the shoe, of that product page, it will say the color and the size. And that's not right. That's not what Amazon wants their catalog to look like. And so if the UPC for that particular color size variation is already being used, you're going to need to enter that. What I've done in the past is I enter that particular ASIN into my inventory, and then I open up a ticket with Seller Central and tell them that, I have this shoe that I have the proof from the pictures and the description and all of the information straight off of the shoebox and whatnot, that this is a child variation that is being listed on a individual product page, and we need to normalize the listing for the parent ASIN. And it might take some back and forth to find the right person to do it, but you can then have that individual product page made into a child variation underneath the parent ASIN with the correct UPC and all of that associated with the color size variation where it needs to be. That's all if somebody has created an individual product page the incorrect way. The way you would check for that is to go to the Add a Product page, and I've already got this tab open. And the way I got here was log into Seller Central, go to the Inventory tab, go down, and you can click on Add a Product. And that'll bring up this page. Then you can scroll down. In this search bar, you're going to enter in the UPC of the shoe that you're wanting to list. And so the UPC that I have here for that size 9.5 charcoal shoe, let me just get that going. Okay, when I enter that in, it says that that UPC is not in Amazon's catalog. So we are good to go then with creating a new variation with this UPC. So then what we'll do from here is we can click on Create a New Product Listing. And again, at this point, it's going to say, if you want to find it on Amazon, that will give you the chance to, again, search for it, but we've already searched. It's not on the parent ASIN that we're wanting to do it under, and it's also not as an individual product page. So we're going to go ahead and create the child variation that we're wanting. Okay, and so at this point you have a couple of options. You can either type into this field the type of product category that you think that your shoes should go in, or you can scroll down and click on shoes and all shoes and then go from there. But just for the sake of showing you, like, let's put in ankle boots, ankle boot, and find the category, and it'll give you some suggestions. So here we have the categories that it's suggesting, and I would go down to ankle and booty. Clothing, shoes, women's shoes, boots, ankle and booty. That's what we're wanting. That's our category. So now we get into filling in all the details, but there's one other step that we need to do before we start getting too far into this. One of the things that when you're adding a child variation to your inventory or to create it in the Amazon catalog that you have to do is use an anchor ASIN to anchor the variation that you're creating to the parent that you're wanting that child to be under. And in order to do that, you have to put into your inventory a child variation that already exists in the Amazon catalog. And so in order to do that, I'm going to want to go back to our product page over here and find the ASIN for one that we can add to our inventory. So let's look at size 8 of this. Well, we want to look at the charcoal ones. So size 8 of the charcoal, let's add that to our inventory as our anchor. We're going to go back over to add a product, and we're going to go to variation theme. And because we've got shoes, the variation theme is going to be size and color. And then we're going to go down and we're going to enter in our anchor ASIN. And so first we want to do the size of it here. So we'll want to go back to our product page and we were going to do size 8 of the charcoal. Now you want to make sure that you're going to type the size the exact same way that it is written on the Amazon product page, with the exact same capitalization, the order, the parentheses, spacing, all of that. So unfortunately there's not a real good way to, well, here we go. There is a good way. I would grab that, copy and paste it over here, and then it gives you a window here to add your next variation. And that's the one where we're going to enter in the 9.5B, and again, do it exactly the same way. You can't copy and paste this because it doesn't exist yet, but it's 9.5, and go back and look to make sure, yeah, the other half sizes are listed as 7.5. 9.5 BMUS, and our color will then go right here. And the color, we're also going to want to just grab that color directly off of here, charcoal. If you don't do this the correct way, you enter in your size differently or the color slightly wrong, it's going to create a problem with the variations, and you're going to have an extra size that's not going to be clickable the same way on the product page, and it's going to make the search results really difficult for customers. So we'll go and add our variations, and here we have now listed down here below, we can enter in the information on each of these. So the color map, I would say, you go down and look, I would call that kind of a gray for the color map. This doesn't have to be exactly specific, it's just kind of the general area, and since charcoal isn't one of the options, that's what we're going to do. So then the product ID for this one, this is the one that's our anchor, and it's already got the product ID, should be in the Amazon catalog. It should be listed in Seller Central. So we've got the 8 charcoal. Let's grab this ASIN, go back over here and enter that in as our UPC. Oh, I did that wrong. As our ASIN, and that's going to be, so that now is our anchor. And we're also, since we're going to be adding this to our inventory, we are going to call this, we need to give it a seller SKU. And a good way to do that, because this is not something we're actually going to sell, we don't have this shoe in stock, we just want to put it in our inventory in order to help the new ASIN that we're creating kind of be anchored to the Amazon catalog. And so it's easy enough just to give it a generic SKU, the Jambu Anchor, and then set our price really high so that it's not actually going to sell. And then we'll go back and let's call this one Jambu Charcoal 9.5. So now here we don't have an ASIN, so instead of entering an ASIN, we're going to use that UPC that we had searched before, and it wasn't in the catalog. And we're going to say that that's a UPC, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do this $199.99, and we've got one of them that we want to list. So now the next thing we're going to want to do, we've got this, the exclamation mark is now over vital info. So we need to fill in some of these fields. So product name, go back to your original product page, and you're going to want to copy this from here. The brand is Jambu. Department, it's a women's shoe. The material fabric, you can go back over and look here and read in the bullet points to see what it's got listed as, and synthetic is the type of material. So synthetic, let's see if there's anything else. So it looks like that's all that had an asterisk by it. So the next thing we're going to want to do after that is we're going to go to the offer, and we've got it in advanced view to show the fulfillment channel. Usually we sell everything FBA. I want Amazon to ship and provide customer service for my items if they sell. That's how we sell everything, but in order to do this process, we click make sure the radio button is clicked for I want to ship this item myself to the customer if it sells, because we're not actually going to be selling that size 8, and we're just wanting to create the ASIN at this point. So make sure that's clicked, and then we're going to go to, sometimes Amazon will suppress your listing if you don't put an image here. You can go to the Amazon page and grab a picture of the color variation that you're adding and then enter it in here. I usually skip that step right now and just go ahead and get it going, and you can always go back and edit it later once you've got it in your inventory. So once we've got all of that done, we don't have any type of errors over here. We've got under our variations, it's got a check mark that this one is matched to the Amazon catalog. We've got everything entered in the way we want it for the variation that we're adding. We're going to click Save and Finish. And it's going to say, congratulations, your product is now listed for sale on Amazon, and it could take up to 15 minutes. So we'll come back later and check on this, and I'll show you what you need to do after the product is actually it's live on Amazon and listed in your inventory. So now it's been several minutes, and we're going to go back and check in our inventory to see that we've had those 2 child ASINs added to our inventory. And you can see here that we've got available 1 of each of these. This is going to be the size 8, and the one with no image is the one that we just added, the size 9.5. And we can, if we wanted to go grab that image and add it there so that Amazon doesn't come back and suppress it, you would go over here to edit, and then that will take you back to that page that we were on before where you can mess with the details of this item. But before we do anything with these two merchant right now these are both listed in our inventory as available when at this crazy price, merchant fulfilled, and we want to just double check. Click on that to open up the product page, and we just want to double check to make sure that it really is live and that it's all working before we zero that out. So we've got our charcoal, size 8, that's available. Now 9.5 is there. Awesome. So yep, there we are. 9.5 is now available, and there's our listing. Awesome. So we'll go back over to our inventory, and at this point I just moved this to 0 so that it's no longer listed for sale, just in case somebody is crazy and decides to buy these shoes for $199. We don't need to have it live anymore. So now at this point we've got the ASIN for the variation that we wanted to create. We can grab this ASIN, enter it into Inventory Lab, and add this pair of shoes to an FBA shipment. Now, we didn't actually have this size 8 that was our anchor, and you can see here our SKU, it's the anchor ASIN. We don't really have that pair of shoes that we want to sell, and so at this point, theoretically we could go back and delete this SKU from our inventory, but I wouldn't do that right now because it will just cause this 9.5 one to float around and not be attached to that parent ASIN anymore. This is an anchor ASIN, and so it needs to stay in your inventory long enough for the system to do some type of internal updating, whatever it is that it does, to permanently attach this 9.5 child ASIN to that parent ASIN in the product catalog. So I would give it a while. Usually a week or 2 is enough. We don't go through and delete our listings that often, but at the very least I would wait that long, if not even longer, before going back and deleting that, just to give it time. And that's pretty much it. That is how you would add the child ASIN variation to the parent listing.